go. Bring it up, baby. Let's go. That's on me. That's on me. Yo, what is good? What is good? What is good? How is everybody doing? How is everybody's Monday? Hopefully, your Monday should be done and dusted by now. Hopefully, everybody's back home, or if you're not, well, I hope the day goes by quick. But listen, man, with some dates winding down and coming to an end, and with players getting released and all this kind of good stuff, I want to talk about some potential Raiders free agents options. But before I get into this, man, shout out to everybody who's already in the live chat. Shout out to my guy Robert. We got Unknown Raider. Renato was good. Thorn, my guy. What's up, Thor? We got Blue King, D-Lo, the numbers. Raider for life was good. Sounds, what's up, man? Joey Boy Raider was good with everybody in here. But look, the news that broke in the morning with Kavanaugh, or earlier on in the day with Kavanaugh getting released, really kind of sparked this, because we're heading into a point of the offseason where teams are trying to get under the cap before the new league year so they do not get penalized by the NFL. And we saw, I don't even think the Patriots are negative in cap space, but they decided to move on from Kavanaugh. And I already have a video on Kavanaugh. I'm still going to talk about him, but if you guys haven't already checked out my video on Kavanaugh, kind of broke some things about him. It's a little bit shorter, so if you don't got the time to watch it live, you got the Kavanaugh vid there. But we got so many more options, and it's kind of interesting because the franchise tag deadline is coming to an end very, very soon. We are less than 24 hours away from the franchise tag deadline coming up. I mean, so far we've seen guys like Jesse Bates get the tag today. We've seen the Buccaneers kind of designate Chris Godwin to get the tag today. So we're seeing a good amount of people get it. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the main guys of the hour that haven't yet got the franchise tag, you know, you got Devontae Adams. He hasn't yet got the franchise tag. Other guys like, I believe, Tyrann Mathieu hasn't got the franchise tag. Mike Williams hasn't yet got the franchise tag. I know that for a fact already Orlando Brown Jr. got the franchise tag placed on him by the Chiefs. I know that Cincinnati decided to put the tag on Jesse Bates. It's rumored that the Chargers are prepared to put the tag on Mike Williams. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But like I said, less than 24 hours out from a pretty big deadline. You know, Patriots haven't franchise tagged J.C. Jackson. That's a real big name. So it's all coming up very, very shortly. And that's kind of what sparked this, right? You know, the Raiders are going to enter the free agency period with about $20 million, and there's a lot of money that they can be made. You know, we're already talking about maybe a Max Crosby extension, and if you guys watch that video that I put out there, you can make $4 million by extending Max Crosby if you convert it into a bonus, right? His $4 million cap hit. You can convert that into a bonus, and you can make $4 million there to go for the cap. But look, man, so I'm going to just kick it off. I'm going to just kick it off how it is. One of my most favorite players that I feel like the Raiders should go after, it's a defensive back, it's a corner, and he's only 25 years old, man. That's Carlton Davis from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I really like Carlton Davis, man. He is a really good player, in my opinion. He's coming from a scheme. Yes, I understand. They have a great front seven over there in Tampa Bay, so it's kind of hard to be like, oh, can he be a number one guy if he has Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, JPP, Devin Wyatt, and all these guys, right, in front of him? But personally, I feel like he's a good player, very, very young. He can be a part of the future of what this Raider organization wants to do going forward. And I really, really, really would love for the Raiders to go out and target Carlton Davis. His market is probably going to be pretty high, though. His money, he's probably going to want anywhere from $12 to $15 million a year. I know that there's people in here that's saying, well, man, if you're going to give Carlton Davis $12 million, why not give J.C. Jackson 19? And I understand. I understand why some may say that, but personally, That's a lot of money, man. It's 19 for one player. $7 million doesn't sound like a big jump, but it really, really is, in my opinion. Um, let's see what else we got up in here. We got EC didn't pull it up, was good. Reddit for Life says, what do you expect about restructuring contracts for the Raiders? I think that it's a very, very, very possible option. Shout out to my guy Raider Scout. I know he put some stuff out there already. I don't think the Raiders are going to be able to restructure Colton Miller and make $11 million off of it. I think they'll probably be able to make around $3 to $5 million max, unless Mark Davis is willing to negotiate with Ziegler and kind of put $11 million up front in cash and say, here you go, here's your signing bonus, buddy. And then you can convert it, but it's a lot of money to just throw down on the table just so we can save up that money. So we'll see, but I think Colton Miller can definitely be restructured. Outside of that, we don't really have many guys that can be restructured. I mean, you have Darren Waller, but I doubt he's gonna make a move with the Raiders to restructure. Who else we got in here? We got Dyson, we got Mark, what's good with you? Jason, what's up? OG Fade, was good. Who else? High Five Freddy. He says, I would like JC Jackson. I mean, me too. I think we would all like JC Jackson. It's just depending on how much is he expecting to get. Because if he truly wants to be the highest paid cornerback in the league, I don't know if I'm going to give JC Jackson that money. Personally, I know it's not mine, but shit. I mean, that's a lot of bread. That's a lot of bread. We got Cash Lord in here. Said, what's good with the young goat? What's good with you, my man? Shit, I'm just chilling on here with y'all. Adams will be your first choice. Okay. Davis, Bradberry, Gilmore. I'll be happy with any of those guys. I think Bradberry is actually a pretty good name to look after, just for the simple fact that, I mean, he really could be cut in the coming future just because he has a $22 million cap hit. Let's see. Shout out to my guy EC. He says Miller has a huge roster bonus, can't convert roster bonus, but he can get another extension and change it into a signing bonus and raise his salary, cut it from 16 to 8.5. That's what I was saying. We were having this conversation in my chat with Graf and Hammer and them. And I had mentioned that we would kind of have to extend them again just to be able to do that kind of stuff. So it's kind of tricky with Colton Miller, but we'll see. No talk on Adams yet. Listen, OG Fade. This is a big possibility. Like I just mentioned, the trade deadline or the franchise tag deadline is less than 24 hours away, bro. Less than 24 hours away. And it's honestly looking like the Green Bay Packers will not franchise tag Devontae Adams. And I mean, look, I'm hoping and praying they don't, because that would probably be one of the dumbest decisions of the Green Bay Packers franchise in recent history, because you can definitely get a team to pull the trigger and send them a first-round pick, maybe two, for Devontae Adams. But, hey, let him test free agency. And if he does, I feel like we are most definitely the front runners to land him. And I think we would probably land him. That's just how I feel. But look, another guy I want to talk about, a free agent option. We got Kavanaugh. I mentioned that earlier on, that I made a video on him. But for those of you guys who may not have watched that video already, Kavanaugh got cut, man. He got released. So I think that his market value is probably anywhere from $5 to $6 million, kind of matching what he was making already. And I mean, he's kind of the perfect scheme fit for what Patrick Graham wants to do. He's a guy that can stand up on the outside, pass rush, but can also drop in coverage, and he's not a liability. He's actually a pretty decent pass coverage guy. He can guard the flats pretty well. He's no slouch against the running back. So I mean, the only knock on him personally is that why hasn't he been able to stick on the team this last 3 years, and his age. You know, he's not a part of the future of what this organization is trying to do. He'll definitely be able to build a foundation with these young guys and help us that way, but he won't be here for long term. The most you're getting out of him is 1 to 2 seasons. So, I mean, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at bringing in a guy like Kyle Van Noy. Personally, I really wanted us to pick him up 2 years ago when he first hit the open market, but I mean, it clearly didn't work out. But as of right now, Kyle Van Noy, I think he's the perfect scheme fit for what Patrick Graham wants to do. But I promised you guys that I would bring more outside linebackers, and I'm going to talk about one right now. Uchenna Nwosu. We kind of we kind of saw what he could do face to face when we played the Chargers, man. Uchenna Nwosu, he's a Charger. Personally, outside of these big names, Devontae Adams, J.C. Jackson, Uchenna Nwosu is probably my number one guy that I want the Raiders to bring in. This man, Nwosu, is a monster. He can fucking stop the run. He can rush the passer, and he can drop in coverage. He is the perfect scheme fit for what Patrick Graham wants to do. And like I just said, there's so many other guys. Allen Robinson, Michael Gallup, all these guys. But personally, if it's not J.C. Jackson or Devontae Adams, Uchenna Nwosu is my number one priority in free agency. He is a beast. He is a freaking beast. I swear, I hope, and I pray that the Raiders can go out and get Uchenna Nwosu. I mean, he's a beast. He's going to make some good money, anywhere from $10 to $12 million a year. I know some of you guys may not want that, but you got to pay the price for a guy this good, and he is amazing in my opinion. I really like Uchenna Nwosu. He is the perfect fit. He can stand up, he can rush, he can stop the run, and he is a good player in freaking pass coverage. He's a very good player. He just reminds me a lot of a guy that can just play off instincts. He doesn't think too much. And with him coming from Chargers where they ran a 3-4 scheme outside of when they were in their bait or their 4-2-5, their nickel, I really love Uchenna Nwosu, and I hope the Raiders can go out and get him in free agency. Shout out to my guy Wasted in the chat. My guy, what's good with you? Everybody in here, you haven't already subscribed to my guy Wasted, please do it. That man's right there. What's his stats? Hey, man, just turn on the film against the Raiders and what he did to us. I'm trying to tell you, outside of J.C. Jackson, outside of Devontae Adams, Uchenna Nwosu is my number one free agent target. And I swear, man, if the Raiders can land him, you guys, we will be saying this man's name for many years to come because he's only 26 years old and he would be a part of this future of this organization. So I really hope that he can do it. If you want to look, just watch what he did against us, man. It was not fun. It was not fun. Who's a surprise free agent signing for you? Personally, I feel like a guy like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, wide receiver from the Green Bay Packers. I'm not really sure what they got going on in Green Bay, but it's me personally. I feel like this is a team that's really going to build on the defense. I really feel that outside of that big name Devontae Adams, I don't really feel that we'll make a huge splash in free agency on an offensive player. And I feel like a guy like Marquez Scantling is a guy that'll probably find his way on the roster because he won't demand too much money. He's a great role player. And, I mean, he can take the top off the defense. Shout out to my guy, Graf, man. Shout out to my guy. Let's see. What's up, Andy? We need a safety to pair up with Merrick as well. Shut down corner and secondary thoughts. I agree, Cesar. You guys have always heard me say this. I really do like Jabril Peppers. I really do like Marcus Williams. But at the end of the day, one of my favorite guys going into free agency is Justin Reed from the Texans. He's not going to demand too much money. He's a guy that has a lot of range, can play that back end very, very well. He's not a great erase tackler, but in this scheme, you don't need your two safeties to be good erase tacklers because you have other guys to do the job for them. You really need two guys that can really cover the back end with this scheme with Patrick Graham. I feel like he would fit perfectly. I know we were all talking about Malik Hooker last year. I feel like Malik Hooker should definitely be a guy that we should bring in this year. If you aren't able to land a Justin Reed, Malik Hooker looked pretty damn good coming off that injury. So I wouldn't mind either one of those. And I think those are two very, very rangy guys that would pair extremely well with Merrick in the back end. OG faces Quandre Diggs. Personally, I really do like Quandre Diggs, but I have said this a couple of times. My thing with Quandre Diggs, one, he's coming off a career year, so he's going to want to get paid. 2, he's already 28 years old. He'll be playing at 29 when the season starts. He's a good player, but he is a true strong safety, in my opinion. He can definitely cover in the back end, but when you have him come down in the slot and really guard a slot receiver or a tight end, I feel like there's a big question mark with his man coverage inside the box. I do like him anyways. I would love for the Raiders to bring him in because he's just a good player, but I like Quandre Diggs. He's a better tackler than Malik Hooker and Justin Reed. But like I said, he's more of a true strong safety. He's not really a guy that, in my opinion, is a true coverage guy that could pair well with Trayvon Merrick. That's how I feel. My guy, the numbers, the Saludos Nation was good with you, man. My number one free agent choice is J.C. Jackson. I would love it, Dante. I would absolutely love it. You would be getting a true number one corner, a guy that can give your offense the ball back. He would demand top dollar, but I believe that the price that you're paying for him would be worth the production. It would be worth the production. And at the end of the day, man, J.C. Jackson's a UDFA. He deserves to get paid. I'm just not sure if he deserves to get paid as the highest cornerback in the league, you know? Scantling has very questionable hands. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. But, when was the last time you guys truly saw this regime that's brought in bring in a true splash purchase? Is that how you would say it? A big name purchase? I mean, I don't really see us outside of really trying to land Devontae Adams, trying to go out and getting an Allen Robinson. I don't see that. I don't see us going out and getting Chris Godwin. I mean, I'm pretty sure Chris Godwin is designated to get the franchise tag tomorrow, but I don't really see us spending that much money. So on offense, I see us spending a ton of money on defense. That's kind of why you heard my first 3 guys all be defense. And with that being said, my 4th guy on my list is another defensive player. And this is where I feel like I was incredibly wrong and I was premature with my words when I said that I didn't feel like there was any starting defensive tackles in this free agency period. And I think there's one. And I think that you have to go get that one if you don't plan on getting a defensive tackle in the first round. And that's Tim Settle out of Washington. That man is a true nose. He's super young. The man is 24 years old. He's the 4th defensive lineman on that depth chart over there in Washington. He's a beast, man. I really, really like Tim Settle. I would love for the Raiders to bring him in. He's not going to demand top dollar just because he's never put on film him being that number 1 defensive tackle. It's kind of hard to work your way around over there in Washington when you got Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Matt Ioannidis all in front of you. But he would definitely come into the Raiders and be a number 1 nose tackle, head up on the offensive lineman, on the center, and he would dominate. I would love for the Raiders to go bring him in. He's one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites, especially with him only being 24 years old. He's a part of your future. He's a part of what can build this franchise. So I really, really, really would love that. I see somebody in here saying Calais Campbell. I mean, my thing with Calais Campbell is, he's going to retire after this season. Like, after this coming season he plays, wherever he goes, he's going to retire. He's old. I want a guy where we don't have this situation again next year. For the last 2 years, we've been wondering who's going to be our starting defensive tackle. I don't want that anymore. I want to be able to go in for the next 3 seasons understanding that we have a stout nose tackle every single year. Every single year. And with Calais Campbell, he's kind of a 3 technique. He can play nose, but I really, really think that Tim Settle, one of my favorite guys, is something that the Raiders should absolutely try and bring in. Bring back Jefferson or Phylon. Personally, in my opinion, Jason, I think that Quentin Jefferson is probably the only defensive tackle that'll make his way back on this roster. Darius Phylon, if he would have never got hurt, I would have definitely done that. But I feel like the injury will be a little bit too much for him to overcome and at that make the roster again. If he does have another shot in this league, it will be with Gus Bradley in Indianapolis. I do think his time with the Raiders is done. But what he was able to do with the Raiders will always be remembered, in my opinion, in my eyes. So shout out to him. Once a Raider, always a Raider. But I just don't see Darius Philon making it back onto this roster. As for Quinn Jefferson, I think he definitely could make the roster. Tim Settle for around $5 million, possibly. I completely agree. I think that he can make anywhere from $5 to $7 million a year, and that's probably going to be extremely team friendly because you look at it. The guy in front of him in Washington right now, Matt Ioannidis, is making $7 million a year, and he's their third guy. So I think that he could possibly make more than $5 to $7 million. But I think since he's never proven to be that number one over there in Washington because of how much depth they have, he'll be able to kind of be undercut wherever he goes, and you'll be able to get a good player at a bargain. So I'm all for Tim Settle in free agency personally. What do you think about signing DJ Chark and trading a fourth rounder for Brandon Cooks if no Devontae Adams? I would be absolutely for it. DJ Chark is a guy, big frame. He can go up and get it. He's fast. He's only 25 years old with many years of NFL experience. Brandon Cooks, he's a guy that has a lot of knowledge within this scheme that we're going to run with Coach McDaniels. He's only 28 years old, and if you trade for Brandon Cooks, you do have to pay him $16 million this year, but he's really making pennies after that. I believe the 2023 year, he's only making $5 or $7 million. So you're really getting a lot of production with Brandon Cooks, even if he's injured the next year, and he's only getting paid $5 to $6 million. It's still worth it, in my opinion. So I would do it 125. I think our fourth round pick 125 would be kind of the max that I would go for Brandon Cooks. If a team is going to undercut us and try and give the Texans a third round pick, well, I feel like the Texans should take that. I do feel like a fourth round pick for Brandon Cooks is a little it's pushing it. It's already the max, but it's kind of tough. But I would definitely do it if that's what it took. If our 125 pick was the deal for Cooks, I would do it. I would do it. It's such a double-edged sword. The way this bullshit league is all set up for the offense, but we know defense wins championships. So what would you do? That's kind of why I mentioned when we're talking about what we feel like this team will do, I really just go back and look at the history of what the New England Patriots have done. And they've always had a very, very good defense, always top 10 or around that margin. And you see their offense is always serviceable. It's always good enough, and they go far. So I really feel like I'm gonna keep saying it. Outside of Devontae Adams, I don't see us making a big push or a big play to try and get a guy like Gallup or to try and get a guy like Allen Robinson, because I feel like we really want to use as much cap space as possible on the defense, which is why you've heard me talk about, I believe, 4 defensive players, and we're gonna go on our 5th. And the next guy on my list here that I want to talk about is a cornerback out of Carolina. He has a lot of history already with our pass game coordinator coach, Jason Simmons. And that's Dante Jackson, 26 years old. He's a man coverage guy, lightning quick. He can end up being a number one in your scheme if he's able to, put in the work week in, week out, be on the field. Dante Jackson, he'll make some good money. I believe Dante Jackson will make anywhere from $10 to $12 million a year, but I'm all for giving players that money at their age that they're at. 26 years old, you can get him on a 3 to 4 year deal, and you have a good player for the next 3 to 4 years. And even with him, let's say Trayvon Mullen doesn't work out this year. you would have a true great number 2 corner, and you can go out and get another corner the year after if Trayvon Mullen doesn't work. So I really, really do like Dante Jackson. Like I said, he has ties with our pass game coordinator on the defensive side of the ball with Jason Simmons. Another guy that has heavy ties with him is Stefan Gilmore. After being traded from the Patriots to Carolina, Stefan Gilmore has that connection with our new pass game coordinator. So I really wouldn't mind seeing either one of them on the roster. Again, Stefan Gilmore is kind of a band-aid over our cornerback situation. Stefan Gilmore is a guy that can come in, produce, but it's only going to be producing for maybe 2 seasons due to his age. We kind of seen him finally take a step back from his elite play, but we kind of saw, Casey Hayward kind of do the same thing this year. Oh, he took a step back. The team is not bringing him back, and then he rejuvenated his career. But I think it is a big difference between Stefan Gilmore and Casey Hayward, because Casey Hayward was not in a man coverage scheme. Casey Hayward was in a scheme that allowed him to use his brain, to use his knowledge, to use all the years that he's had in the NFL to be able to read, then react. Man coverage system like Patrick Graham, it doesn't allow you to have that luxury. So with that being said, I feel like Dante Jackson, he's the future. He would be the future, much like a guy like Carlton Davis, because of them being so young. So I would love to see that. Swift Raider says, "Hey Andy, you think Van Noy could be a good fit with us? He's a coverage linebacker." Like I said, I already have a video on Kyle Van Noy, so please go check that out. But yes, I will answer your question. Kyle Van Noy is a great scheme fit. I think he's the perfect scheme fit. I think that with him going to be 31 years of age, you only get 1 to 2 years, 1 to 2 years out of him. But personally, he's exactly what this system needs. He's a guy that can rush off the edge, stand up, drop into coverage, and frankly, he's pretty damn good at it. He had 6 sacks, 10 pass deflections, a pick six, 2 forced fumbles, and over 60 tackles. Kyle Van Noy is a good player. I really, really like Kyle Van Noy. I really wish we would have gotten him before he went to Miami, but guess what? He's on the market again. I would love to get Kyle Van Noy, but to answer your question, let's see who asked it. To answer your question, Swift Raider, personally, I would love to pay double what Kyle Van Noy would make in $5 to $6 million. I would love to pay double that and pay Uchenna Nwosu $10 to $12 million. Uchenna Nwosu, in my opinion, I'm gonna keep saying it, outside of J.C. Jackson and outside of Devontae Adams, Uchenna Nwosu is my number one guy, and he's my number one priority if I were to be, managing what the Raiders are doing this offseason. Uchenna Nwosu is an absolute beast. Absolute beast. Let's see. Dante isn't good in pass. He's a slot guy despite his elite speed. He is. He can play on the outside, though. He has a bigger frame than Nate Hobbs. But in my opinion, he's not good in press, but he's good in man coverage when he's off 6 to 7. So he's a pretty good guy. He's a pretty good player. And I kind of feel like his production kind of dropped because they didn't really know what they had. They were kind of doing a musical chairs over there in Carolina. They kind of were still trying to find – they were still trying to find their first 3, kind of like where we were last season. They were still trying to find their slot, their 2 outside guys. So they were kind of switching it up, and I feel like that kind of dropped his production this year. But I really do like Dante Jackson. I really do. My boy says you got to stop getting Winfrey in the first. Look, man, if we trade back later in the first, I would get Winfrey in the first, man. I don't care. Dark Raider says Graham played like 90% zone coverage. If you look at his successful seasons, he did not play 90% of zone coverage. So we'll go off that. And shout out to my guy EC. He says Graham does not play a lot of man coverage. 3rd and long in red zone, he plays true cover 0. He plays a lot of cover 2 and cover 3 quarters, cover 6. My guy EC is always coming in clutch with these facts, man, with these left hooks, with these knockout punches. I love it. My guy my guy says DJ Chark is a wide receiver too, who's going to be locked up by a good to great corner. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he will get locked up just because there's not many good to great corners that are standing at 6'4", that can out, they can out athletic him. That man's a beast. Like, you just look at his frame, he'll still get a play on you, even if you are an elite to great corner. But to your point, I do think he's a number two receiver, but I feel like that's what we're gonna go after. I'm telling you, do not be surprised if we do not go and make these big moves like Allen Robinson, Michael Gallup. Don't be surprised if we don't do that, because I really do feel like this system that we're going forward with this Raiders organization is building the defense, then building the offense, but through the trenches. And once you're done with that, then you have your luxuries on the guys outside. We already have a Darren Waller. We already have a Hunter Renfro. We just need, how many times did Brian Edwards step up last year? Hardly ever. So if you have a guy like DJ Chark, he's gonna do good. If you add a young guy in the draft that can give you a spark, it's gonna help. So I really look. I like us getting Devontae Adams. I think that that's probably the only guy that we'll truly pay big money to in this free agency period. But at the end of the day, I don't see us after Devontae making any big moves on the offensive side of the ball. That's what I feel. Was good, Brody. I feel like we should try and get DJ Chark. I love him with DC. Well, listen, man, I feel like that's honestly a big option that'll probably it could happen. It could happen. Um, McDuffie ran man and great in quarters coverage. I like Trent McDuffie. I think he's good. I mean, I really feel like a guy like Kyer Lem is probably a better option just because of his length and size. Pause. He's just taller. His frame is bigger. I think that if you're gonna go corner in round one, or if you're thinking of going corner at 22, I feel like Kyer Lem is the better option because I feel like Sauce and Stingley will already be off the board. That's what I think. Um, let's see. What's up, Andy? Supporting OG on his channel. Drop by to hit like, bro. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Young, fast, and big will be a red zone problem. Exactly, Moody. And I mean, hey, we had a horrible red zone offense. So we'll see. We'll see. You could say the same thing about Nelly being a number two, but the production was there, and Chark is better than Nelly. Um, yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Nelly is a number two, and he found his way onto New England's roster, and it didn't work. So we'll see. We'll see. I would love DJ Chark. I mean, he's just a bigger guy than mostly every corner that we'll face week to week. Obviously, there's exceptions when you're gonna face a tall, big corner, but DJ Chark just having a guy that's usually bigger, faster, and stronger than you is already going to give you an edge. Of course, he's not a number one guy, but with work, he's only 25 years old. With work, he can become something more than just a number two receiver, in my opinion. So yeah, go back and watch Woolen's drills at the combine. Yes, he's long and very fast, but he can't flip his hips and plays way too tall. Fifth round UDFA for me. Wow, that's that's interesting right there, EC. And I kind of do agree. Yes, Woolen ran fast. He's 6'4". That's nice. But well, I mean, I think that there is a team though that might turn the pick in on him before the fifth round, EC, just because of that. My guy Swift says, I feel like our weakest link is corner. I'm not sold on our corners other than Hobbs. I agree. I do feel like this system truly fits Trayvon Mullen to his maximum potential. So I feel like it'll be very good for Mullen. I feel like Mullen should have a better year, but I agree. I think Mullen is still a question mark. I think even in certain senses, Nate Hobbs could be a question mark. Nate Hobbs is we've only ever seen him succeed in Gus Bradley's defense, so it's a question mark. It's kind of starting from new. But look, man, outside of DJ Chark, we're gonna get into my first offensive player that I feel like the Raiders should go after. He's very young. He's an offensive lineman. He can play center and guard. Coming from Chicago, 24 years old, James Daniels, man. I really, really, really like James Daniels. He's a guy that I feel like is plug and play immediately. He's an immediate upgrade over John Simpson, without a doubt. With him being so young, though, you do have to pay a pretty nice pretty good price tag for him, man. I think that he will probably make around $9 to $10 million a year. I know we kind of want to shy away from having to pay our offensive linemen so much, but I do think that if you are going to get a guy that's going to be here for the future of this franchise, James Daniels is a number one priority in my opinion because of his versatility and his production. It's kind of like what, in my opinion, he's a mini Elton Jenkins. Elton Jenkins with the Green Bay Packers is a guy that can play everywhere, and Elton Jenkins is getting paid. I feel like James Daniels needs to get on this roster if we truly want to be successful. He's a good pass blocker. He's a great run blocker. Only 24 years old, man. I really, really wouldn't mind this one bit. As a matter of fact, I would love this. I would love this. I would feel like this would be a home run hit if you're able to land James Daniels in free agency. It will be pretty tough for us to land him. I'm pretty sure Chicago is going to want to do everything in their power to bring him back to protect their young quarterback because they want to build around him. But I really, really do love the idea of bringing in James Daniels. I understand you might want to pay, you might not want to pay $9 to $10 million for an offensive lineman, but I feel like it's what needs to be done. It's what needs to be done if you don't want to have to worry at all about your guard position. That's what I feel like it needs to be done. My guy Randy Savage says, "Don't draft Burks." Listen, man, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on Burks, bro. Ruben Russ says, "I feel like Mullen is already the tall, lengthy corner. Need a fast, twitchy, complementary corner." I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. In that case, I mean, you can kind of get a quote unquote undersized guy in J.C. Jackson, then that fast, twitchy, he'll get the picks. Hey, man, could be the perfect scenario, right, Ruben? When does free agency open? So we are exactly 1 week away from the tampering period opening. Tampering period, basically, all these players that are free agents can now begin contract negotiations. They can agree to contracts, and essentially they can, fly and visit, but they are not officially signed until the 16th. So we are 1 week away from players to be able to verbally agree with teams to contracts, and then they can sign 2 days later. But I mean, it's been 3 years in a row now that we've seen the Raiders bring in players that verbally agreed to contracts on the tampering period. So I mean, it's really just 1 week away. Really, just 1 week away. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. Really, really am. Mullen, let's see. Salute nephew, salute Raider Nation. Shout out to my guy, man. My guy Thor says, "Hit the like button, y'all. I appreciate you." Swing Raider was good. NorCal Raider was good. Was good with you, my boy. Could we trade Leatherwood? No, I don't think so. I think that'd be dumb. Um, yeah, I just wouldn't want to. I just wouldn't want to. McDuffie's my guy. Darion Kendrick looked smooth, fast. Martin Emerson looked very good in drills. Um, A lot of those guys tackle. Alem looked amazing versus Bama and Board versus everyone else. Alem is a very, very good player. I do like him quite a bit. It's just a matter of, um, what and where can we draft Alem? That's what I think. Um, let's see. What else do we got? We need to make sure DC stays clean. Exactly. I agree. I agree. I agree. If we draft a Lem, Mullen has to go. They both give up too many penalties, and they're basically the same player. Handsy. Well, in my opinion, Maribel, I don't think so. I think that with those two guys being in a man system, it actually fits to your strengths perfectly. You're gonna get those penalties regardless, just due to the fact that this game is I mean, it's made for the offensive guys. It's made for the offensive guys. But after talking about James Daniels, let's talk about another interior offensive lineman that I would definitely like the Raiders to be able to go out and pick up this offseason. And he played with the Patriots. Maybe there's a reunion with the offensive line coach. It's not Trent Brown, but it is Ted Carris. I think it's Carris or Carras. Interior offensive lineman can play either side, either left guard or right guard. He's a guy that's 28 years old, so I mean he'll definitely get paid a decent amount. I'm assuming anywhere from $5 to $6 million a season. Good player, didn't he's not going to give up a lot. I believe Raider Scout had a stat on him where he's never given up more than 14 pressures in a season, and that's pretty damn good. I mean that's pretty damn good. That's less than a pressure a game. So I mean, I know PFF can kind of grade things incorrectly sometimes, but I'm all for a guy like him. Reuniting him with his offensive line coach from New England, Carmen Brasillo. We did bring him in. I would be very happy just knowing that we have familiarity on the offensive line when it comes to the coach. I feel like it'll be very good for the Raiders to bring that in. He can kind of help the guys as well. With Andre James, who's young. He's a little bit more of a seasoned veteran at this point in his career. He can really help Andre James and Cole Miller pick up the speed on the playbook and the blocking assignments and how Josh McDaniels likes things ran on the offensive line. So I am a big fan of bringing in guys that are from the New England tree because they already have that familiarity with how things are run and how Josh McDaniels likes things done on that offensive line. Another guy that also plays the interior is Austin Corbett. He's a guy that is pretty young. I believe he's 26 years old, coming from the Rams. I wouldn't mind it at all. He's another interior guy. He can kind of play both sides. He will probably get paid more than Ted Carris. I think he's going to probably make anywhere from $7 to $9 million, but he's good. Like if you don't want to worry about the position, we can no longer be that team that's you know what? We'll get rid of Hudson, Gabe Jackson. We'll let Osmelly walk. We're just like, come on, man. It's like you gotta build inside, and you gotta understand that for good play, they need good pay. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Um, I'm all about the defense nation to go get it straight in the draft and free agency. I think that's how it'll be done, Swin Raider. I think that's how it'll be done. I really do. I'm gonna keep saying it. I feel like this team won't make a big splash on offense besides trying to make a big push on Devontae Adams. I do not feel like this team is actually going to target guys like Michael Gallup and Allen Robinson in free agency. I feel like they value their defense a little bit more. So I really feel like that'll get done. But who knows? Who knows? Don't personally, for me, don't expect the big players outside of Devontae if we don't land Devontae. I think we'll go straight to the defense. Straight from the defense. That's how I feel. Let's see. Same old shit, different day, my brother. Life stay good at least. Try to keep it that way. Hey, that's how it is, Thor. That's how you got to keep it, too. That's how you got to keep it, man. How you got to keep it. Andy, who has the biggest Raider jersey collection? Do you know? Yo, first of all, shout out to ONT6, man, because this is the first person to ever do a super on this channel. So I always got love for my man. But if you guys don't know, this dude right here has an insane Raiders jersey collection. I'm talking about he got, the little laundry streamlines. He got white ones just going down and down. Then he got the silver and black one going down. This dude got a huge Raider jersey collection, and that's dope, man. That's super dope in my opinion. Raider Bob 85 says, "Evening from Phoenix. Appreciate the channel and your knowledge." Hey, man, I just appreciate you pulling up and the kind words. So thank you, man. Thank you. Brandon is a nice backup, not a starter. The Leatherwood competes, swing and a miss is rough. He is a year or two away from being a serviceable on the O-line. Well, you kind of heard Josh McDaniels talk about Leatherwood, and when he talked about him, I mean, it wasn't anything that I didn't kind of expect. He kind of just said that it's great that he was a rookie and got to play that many games, but that's also kind of the knock with Leatherwood was that he was a rookie and had to play that many games. So he got a lot of, film and knowledge under his belt playing so many games with the Raiders last year. But at the same time, he also got kind of exposed on his weaknesses. And that's good because now you can go into the offseason knowing knowing what you need to fix with him and how he can improve. Shout out to my guy Omar. He says, "Who's your sleeper DB you liked in the draft?" Personally, my sleeper DB is not a corner. It's a safety, and that's Nick Cross. Nick Cross out of Maryland, safety. He he did great in the combine. I think that he was projected anywhere from the fifth and sixth round. I think that after the combine, a fourth round pick is probably where he'll go. And I wouldn't be mad if the Raiders spent a fourth round pick on Nick Cross. He's a former track athlete. He has a lot of speed on him. He's very, very, his wingspan is very, very long. He can make a lot of plays on the ball, and with him being the track athlete, he's not going to get beat over the top. So I really, really like that, man. I really, really like that about Nick Cross, one of my favorite prospects in the draft. And shout out to my guy X for bringing that one up to me. I'm always going to give credit to X for that one because he was right. He was right, 110%. Let's see. Cook's talk kind of died down. Do you think it will happen? Well, I feel like the Cook's talk kind of began because the Texans kind of seemed unsure on what they were going to be doing with Laramie Tunzel, Brandon Cooks, and their quarterback Deshaun Watson. So I feel like the talks kind of began and the feathers began rustling because our fan base realized, well, Cooks had a lot of success with the Patriots. He won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, and as a matter of fact, Brandon Cooks actually commented on the Raiders signing Josh McDaniels as their head coach, and his immediate reaction to the Raiders hiring Josh McDaniels was he's a game changer. So I really, really hope that the Raiders can bring in Brandon Cooks. I'm not too sure that it died down. I kind of felt like in that position, in that area, it was kind of a gray area. It's not too early to actually be talking about trading, and then it's like, well, we're kind of too far away to know if they'll actually be cut because at the time they were still like a month and a half away from free agency. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, would you sign Trent Brown to a 1-year deal then draft Daniel Faalele in the second? I would not draft Faalele in the second. Personally, I don't think he's worthy of that. I think that would I re-sign Trent Brown? If it's heavily incentive based, I would heavily look into it. That's what I would say. Shout out to my guy SC. He says, "Yo, how are you? Salute, shout out to the nation. Shout out to my guy SC, man. Always putting in work. This man be grinding. I believe he was live every single day from beginning to end of the combine. So shout out to my guy SC, man. I'm doing great. How are you? Salute Andy and Raider Nation. Yep. Omar says fire. Shout out to my guy Sultan in here as well. What's good with you, Sultan? My boy in here. Please go check my man out on his page, man. Drops a lot of good content over there. Let's see. Yo, what's good, Andy? What streaming do you use for your streams? StreamYard. StreamYard. Very, very good. Very simple. So if you're new to it, I feel like it's a good way to get up and going. And it looks pretty damn good. So yeah, I'd say StreamYard. No way to Trent Brown. He's just trying to find a cheap and easy paycheck. That's kind of why I said that if you're gonna bring him back, the only way that I'd really talk to him about potentially making a return is if it's a heavily incentive based contract. I would not bring him back on the same price that we brought him in. We brought him in on a $14 million deal. That was his average salary. I would not do that again. But I would definitely consider it if it was 80% incentives, and I think that's kind of where he has to be at this end of his career, or at this point of his career, just because kind of hasn't worked too well, and it doesn't seem to me like the New England Patriots have really been putting out a lot of energy in trying to bring him back. So we'll see. We'll see. He also left the Raiders to go back with Josh McDaniels and Carmen Brasillo. So I think it could definitely happen. I think that we kind of have tunnel vision on all the stupid shit that happened and went down with the Raiders, with Trent Brown when he was here, and we kind of forget that he was a damn good player when he was on the field. So I definitely think that it's possible. It would just really have to be a true incentive based deal for me to consider it. Um, I know you aren't for Adams if he becomes a free agency, but if it was a structure like D Hop's contract of a 5 year deal, Frank, I'm all for Adams in free agency. Frankly, I feel like if there is a big name that we are going to go after, it's only Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams is the only guy that the Raiders will actually consider paying top dollar for on the offensive side of the ball. I do feel like the Raiders will heavily consider that. I mean, he's the top wide receiver in this game. Um, he's less than 24 hours away from being a free agent. So it's very very interesting to see that. I mean, I would be all for bringing in Devontae Adams, but I will continue to say this: if we do not land Devontae Adams, don't expect the Raiders to go out and get Allen Robinson. Don't expect the Raiders to go out and get a Michael Gallup. I really feel like they are going to spend I'm gonna say 65% of our cap is going to be on the defensive side of the ball. The rest, when we do spend on the offense, it's going to be on the interior. That's how I feel. Who's your late round sleeper at quarterback, linebacker, and defensive tackle? Quarterback, I don't really have one. I haven't looked into the quarterbacks. Linebackers, though, Leo Schnell, he's not a late round guy, but Kanai Maunga from USC, I believe it is a very very good linebacker that I would love for us to maybe get in the 4th to 7th round. I don't know if he would go that high in the 4th round, but Kanai Maunga is definitely a great talent that I would definitely consider the Raiders getting. As far as defensive tackles, I mean, the top guys on the board are really the only ones worthy of getting picked up, in my opinion. This class isn't really too heavy. I'm not a fan of Logan Hall. I'm not a fan of John Ridgeway. Shout out to my guy Sultan in here. I'm not a fan of John Ridgeway, man. I'm not. I looked at D Hop's contract. It only had 7 mil cap here in year one. Well, I think a lot of that was also because he was traded. So I'm pretty sure the Texans had to take on a certain amount of money. Yeah. PFF said Wan'Dale Robinson had the worst combine because his arm length would be the shortest arms ever drafted. Me personally, I feel like that right there, Ruben Rust, is it is something to look at. It is something to look at. But at the end of the day, Ruben, when you look at his game is not high pointing the ball. His game is not it's not doing corner routes and having to make the contested catch. His game is running hard. His game is catching the screen. His game is being a one-cut runner and he's gone. His game is making it behind the defense. So I understand those tangibles are something that you definitely want to look at. But at the end of the day, to me, it's not something that I really look too much into because if you watch his tape, his game is not going up and high pointing the ball. His game is what I just mentioned. So when I see that, I do have to pay attention, right? It does let me know that with Wan'Dale Robinson, you're kind of really just going to get a guy that can primarily work out the slot, make some plays with the ball in the screen, and get behind the defense. But frankly, that's really all I want from him. I don't want him, and I don't expect him to be doing those things that a guy with average and above average wingspan and arm length and that kind of stuff is going to be doing. If you want to do that, then go get Drake London. But me personally, Wan'Dale Robinson is not that. So that's what I feel. Um, Andy, what do we do if Chargers draft Travis Jones in the second? I don't think that Travis Jones will make it to the Chargers in the second. I don't think that Travis Jones will make it to us in the second. So if you want to get Travis Jones, you're most likely going to have to trade up early second round to get him. If not, make a reach on him in the first. That's what I think. Let's see. Don't read too much into PFF. I kind of agree, but they do have some good stats that it is interesting looking into. Andy, who are your top wide receivers in this draft as a fit for the Raiders, well, ironically, Wan'Dale Robinson is probably my number one fit for the Raiders. If we're talking about what this scheme does and how this scheme is kind of made, Wan'Dale Robinson, in my opinion, is the perfect scheme fit. He's a slot guy. He can do a lot with the ball when you give him in the screen pass in the screen game, and he can take the top off. So I think that Wan'Dale Robinson, ironically, we did just talk about what he's not good at, but I think that he's actually a great scheme fit for the Raiders. I think that David Bell out of Purdue is a pretty good scheme fit for the Raiders. Possession guy, he can move the chains. He's not necessarily going to be that one cut, one play guy. I think David Bell is a pretty good scheme fit. Who else? George Pickens. He's big, he's fast. I think that George Pickens is a scheme fit for any team personally, but with other things, other aspects of his game, I think that he may not be team's top guy, but a guy like John Mechie, a great run blocker, can take the top off. I like John Mechie a lot, but his injury didn't allow him to work out. My guy EC just said Sky Moore, Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce is an interesting one. Definitely didn't think he was going to run that fast. And the last one would be, Chris Olave. And you guys may be saying, well, you love Treylon Burks so much. Why is he not in there? Treylon Burks isn't necessarily a scheme fit. He's a do-it-all guy. So he's everything. He does everything great. So, or not great. He does everything good. So that's why I would get Treylon Burks. If you're asking me who's my number one receiver that I would get, would be Treylon Burks. But if you're asking for a fit for the Raiders, those are my guys. Those are my guys that would fit the Raiders. Yeah. My guy Swift says, seems like the Pats are in sell mode and rebuilding slowly. Trent Brown would be our Richie Incognito. He wouldn't be on the field. Got to pass on, dude. You know what? And I got to respect that, because what he's shown in recent history is him not being available and him not being on the field. So I got to respect that, man. As much as I know that Trent Brown's a good player, I got to respect your statement, because at the end of the day, it's a fact. It's a fact. He says Wan'Dale's a gadget player, but I'll take him in the third if he's available, which isn't going to happen. I mean, there are some teams that do look into that a lot. There are some teams that look into those tangibles a lot. They look into those measurements a lot. So there is a possibility that he could possibly, fall into the third round. But at the end of the day, I feel like the teams that are looking at that are also going to look at his 4.38 40 and his film at Kentucky and be like, well, damn, he's a damn good player. To hell with his arms being short, I think Wan'Dale's a damn good player. This man right here says 49er faithful. Well, you can be faithful to this block, homie. That shit's out of there. Raiders 17, wide receiver home. I'm pretty sure you're talking about Devontae. But yes, man, I hope we can bring in Devontae, bring that man home, reunite him with his Fresno State QB, Derek Carr. That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing, Paul Gaines. What about Jahan Dotson? He's great. He's good. I really like Jahan Dotson, but I kind of went off track a little bit. We talked about DJ Chark, we talked about Ted Karras, James Daniel, Dante Jackson, Tim Settle, Uchenna Nwosu, Kavanaugh, Carlton Davis. The next guy on here, and this one is very, very big on what happens in the next 16 hours, and that's an offensive lineman from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's Cam Robinson. He came into the league as a left tackle. They moved him over to right tackle, and it helped him. Then they franchise tagged him. But so far, the Jacksonville Jaguars are yet to franchise tag Cam Robinson. He's only 26 years old, you guys. And, these linemen, they kind of get better with age, and Cam Robinson is actually looking like, his production, it was pretty flatline, and for him it just started slowly curving up. So Cam Robinson, so young, great measurements, great tangibles. I would love for the Raiders to bring him in. I'm not exactly too sure on what his contract would be, just because he got the franchise tag, so he got paid pretty well. I'm not sure if he's going to want to average around what he made with the franchise tag, but with Jacksonville not franchise tagging him just yet, I'm very, very excited to see if Cam Robinson can hit the free agent market. And I would definitely like the Raiders to go out and pursue Cam Robinson. And I know a lot of us like Morgan Moses. I'm a big Morgan Moses fan. I know Graff's a big Morgan Moses fan. I think everybody in the Raider Nation, as far as content creators, can agree that Morgan Moses is a good player. My thing with Morgan Moses, he's 31 years of age. He's a damn good player, but with the volume of screens that Josh McDaniels runs in this system, it's a little concerning. I'm not too sure if Morgan Moses can keep up with that. I'm not sure if Morgan Moses is going to be able to consistently go out in space and do that, because that's not really the game that was ran over there with the New York Jets. And I feel like Cam Robinson, coming from Jacksonville, where they ran a ton of screens, with Laviska Shenault last year, he understands, the screen game. And I know Morgan Moses, being a vet, he understands the screen game as well. But ultimately, I feel like Morgan Moses and Cam Robinson, I feel like Cam Robinson's just better in space. I think that Cam Robinson is younger. Well, I like Cam. I like Cam Robinson. I would love for the Raiders to be able to bring him in. I really like Cam Robinson, but I'm trying to think of some other guys. If any of you guys right now in the chat, like I said, already touched up on Carlton Davis, Kavanaugh, Uchenna Nwosu, Tim Settle, Dante Jackson, James Daniels, Ted Carris, DJ Chark, Brandon Cooks, and Cam Robinson. Is there any other free agents right now that you would like me to touch up on? And I'm more than free to do so. So just put it in the chat, and I'll talk about them. We need Trent McDuffie. I wouldn't mind Trent McDuffie, but personally, I feel like if we're going to be a team that's in the market for a cornerback at number 2, I would like Khair Alem a little bit more, just because of the frame. He's a bigger guy. I'm not sure if he ran faster than Trent McDuffie. I think he might have. He ran a 4.39, but overall, he's just bigger. Dominique says Marquez Scantling. So I kind of did talk about him a little bit. My thing is that the reason why I brought Marquez up is because I don't feel like this team is going to make a big splash on a wide receiver or any skill position in free agency, for that matter, outside of maybe making a strong push for Devontae. But I don't think that we're going to make a big push, and that's why I brought up Marquez Scantling, because he's a bigger guy. He has good tape. He does have a little bit of a drop problem, but he does fit the scheme. Personally, I feel like where Marquez is in his career, and so far what Brian Edwards has put up, I think they're very comparable. And I mean, going off numbers, Marquez has better numbers. But yeah, I like Scantling. He's young, and personally, I feel like him and DC could actually do some damage together, because DC kind of struggled with Henry Ruggs at the beginning, because DC hadn't really had a true burner like Henry Ruggs in his career. So I think Scantling is not a true burner, but he can take the top off. So it would fit pretty damn well with Derek Carr. And ultimately, I don't think that he'd make too much money. And I would actually, I would welcome him in with open arms personally. How about JC Jackson, Greg? Well, JC Jackson, a guy that isn't getting much love in his hometown over there in New England. So I feel like with that, I understand that he put it out there that he may want to be the number 1 paid corner in this league, but I kind of don't see that happening with just the lack of attention that he's getting in New England. I feel like if you're struggling to get attention from the team that kind of helped build you up, there's a problem there. And I feel like I would definitely bring him in, but it's just a matter of what's the price. And I feel like I touched up on Carlton Davis and Dante Jackson and some other DBs that I would really love the Raiders to bring those guys in. So we'll see. Are you talking about Jacoby Myers, Maribel? Are you talking about Jacoby Myers? If so, Jacoby Myers, personally, I know a lot of people mention him because he's been the number 1 guy over there in New England for the last couple of years. But I think he's a number 2 receiver. If you're bringing him in to be a number 2 receiver, sure, go ahead. But I'm not a big fan of Jacoby Myers. If you're talking about Sony Michel, I would definitely like to see that happen. but it'd be very interesting. I feel like you'd have a crowded running back room with Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, Trey Regis, and Sony Michelle. It'd be interesting. Looks like Calvin Ridley fits in Las Vegas. Come on, man. Come on, man. Dominique's is my bad. Just got in here, bro. No worries. No worries. Stick with Zay Edwards if Carr agree. What? Nah, hell no, man. You gotta give DC way more. Way more. Let's see. Trent McDuffie. What about him? We talked about Trent McDuffie a bunch. Cordell Patterson can do the same thing as Burks, maybe better. You can get him for the low. I understand what you're saying actually, and that's actually a pretty damn good comparison. My thing is that he's 31 years old and he's kind of just now hitting his peak. And I understand Cordell can also return kicks. That's pretty good as well. But my thing with Cordell Patterson is, I mean, it's at the end of his career, and you're only going to get him for 1, maybe 2 years. So it is what it is. It kind of sucks. Fully Fatusaki, defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph. Look. If Joseph Day is not re-signed by the Rams, I would definitely look into it. But I think that he'll get re-signed. I don't know too much about the defensive tackle from the Jets EC to really speak on it, but Tim Settle is my number one outside of Joseph Day if he doesn't get re-signed. I think he does get re-signed though. Am I the only one looking at the Chargers right now? Because goddamn, what? Bro, what do you mean, bro? If you a Chargers fan, nah, man. Nah. Let's see. Really probably betting against the Falcons. He was betting against the Falcons. He was. Leon trying to bring up the controversials, man. He said Amari Cooper. Look, I said this, man. If Amari Cooper is gonna make half of what he's making in Dallas, I'd try and bring him in. But at the same time, I mean, I see no eager out of Amari Cooper. I see no love for football out of Amari Cooper. I see no competitiveness. I see a great person. I see a great player that has all the potential in the world, but he doesn't have that. I don't know. Like he doesn't have that it about him. He doesn't have that want. He doesn't have that. So it's kind of hard to judge Amari Cooper because we know he's a damn good player, but it kind of just sucks, man. It kind of just sucks. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Is Linval Joseph a free agent? He is, but I wouldn't necessarily go after Linval Joseph. I think that Linval Joseph kind of past where he should be, and Linval Joseph should kind of be put on the back burner in my opinion. But yeah, man. Isn't Myers a restricted free agent? I didn't know that. If he is a restricted free agent, well, let's end the conversation about Jacoby Myers now because he's not leaving. Cooper don't give a fuck. Yeah, man. Yeah. My guy Wasted says, Andy, what's the deal, bro? Listen, man. We just touched up on a hell of a lot of free agents. A lot of them are my top guys, bro. If you're free, always pull in. But yeah, man, I really do. For those, I think we got over 100 more people when I mentioned this. I really do hope outside of J.C. Jackson and Devontae Adams, those are probably the top two guys on the free agent market, but those are also the top guys that I feel like the Raiders should go after. But outside of those two guys, mark my words and remember when I'm saying this, Uchenna Nwosu should be a Las Vegas Raider. He's exactly what the Las Vegas Raiders defense needs going into this season. He can pass rush. He can stand up. He can rush the passer standing up. He can drop back into coverage. He's a phenomenal run stopper. He's only 26 years old. So I'm all for bringing in Uchenna Nwosu. I understand him and Kavanaugh are extremely similar in the way they play, and you can get Kavanaugh for cheaper. You can probably get Kavanaugh for half the price of Uchenna Nwosu. But at the end of the day, Kavanaugh is 5 years older, and Uchenna is reaching his prime, and I feel like you really, really, really should consider paying Nwosu $10 to $12 million a year because that's the exact piece that this team needs going forward on that defensive side of the ball. Remember when I say this, man. Remember when I say this. Um, Salute Wasted, yes sir. Shout out to everybody in here. Giving my guy Wasted a wave. Shout out to my guy, man. Guys, I'm very uncomfortable with the pick and money the Chargers have. That's all, Andy. Oh, well, if you're, yeah, I mean, they do got a lot of money, but at the same time, if they try and franchise their wide receiver, they lose a lot of money. And they got some other people that may need to be in contract conversation as well. So their money could be depleted very, very soon. But yes, their picks, where they pick in the draft, I believe they're 5 picks in front of us, or yeah, they're 5 picks in front of us. It's a little spooky. It is a little spooky, man. It is. It is. Who's the first free agent to sign on the dotted line, not on the team now? The first free agent to sign, not that's hard, man. That's hard. That's really hard. Man, you're asking me who is going to be. I don't know, man. That's really tough. That's a damn good question though. But there's there's just so many guys that could sign. I mean, almost immediately. But shit, man. DJ Jones, DJ Chark. I mean, let's see. You know what? I'm gonna say Ted Carras will be the first guy that the Raiders sign. I'm probably extremely wrong. This is kind of a name I'm just pulling out the ass. But he does have a lot of, he does have a lot of links with the Raiders. Playing under Coach McDaniels for many years, playing under our lineman coach, Coach Brasillo, for many years. He is a free agent, so I think Ted Carras will probably be the number one guy that the Raiders get in free agency. Not too sure though, man. Not too sure. My guy EC says Kavanaugh. EJ says Chark. Who knows, man? Do you think Travis Jones is a true 3 tech with the weight loss? No. I think that he did that, Rock, because he wanted to perform better in the athleticism department for the combine. I do believe that he's going to add another 15, possibly 20 pounds before he starts playing. The reason why I say that is because I don't think that he's going to be able to play at 320 as a nose tackle in the NFL. I think that he'll have to go back up to 335. But no, he's not a 3 tech. He'll stick to his nose position, in my opinion. That's what I feel like he'll do. But yeah, that's what we're doing. I think that's what we're doing. This man said Adams is getting tagged. Is he really? I hope that didn't just come out. I really hope that didn't just come out into the universe, man. That would suck. Nothing yet. I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing on it. I don't see nothing. I see that the Patriots and Dolphins are interested in Cooper. That's all I've seen. But there's less than 16 hours, Randy, for Adams to get tagged. So interesting. Right tackle might be our first priority after Adams doesn't get tagged. Listen, man. I just said it. Cam Robinson, if he doesn't get tagged by the Jacksonville Jaguars, go get Cam Robinson, man. Young, 26 years old, looked phenomenal coming out of Alabama. Had his struggles over there with Jacksonville, but he really kind of started to put it together a little bit, playing right tackle. I think that's a good player that you should definitely try and look into. Faye from Atlanta, the linebacker. Talking about the linebacker Olakun, Olakun or something like that. He's good. He's good. Tomorrow they cannot franchise tag anymore. No, so Hector, the way that it works, tomorrow 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. Like Central, the franchise tag deadline is over. So once it hits 1:01 Pacific Standard Time, these guys are free agents. These guys are free to negotiate with any other team they want beginning the 14th of March. So by tomorrow, we'll know who will be on the free agent market. By the 14th, we'll see who will we'll see who they begin to negotiate with. Let's see, Andy. Who are the guys you think ain't happening? Allen Robinson, I don't think is happening. Um, you know, I don't think J.C. Jackson's happening. I think that we honestly have a bigger shot at Devontae than J.C. I just think so. They're not going to let him walk. Listen, I kind of agree with you, Randy. But when your general manager comes out and says we don't like using the franchise tag, and then it comes less than 16 hours away and they still haven't tagged him. And the only way that Devontae is staying is if Aaron Rodgers stays, and then they don't have Aaron Rodgers locked up with a new deal that he wants. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers' deal is going to get locked up before 16 hours. So it's kind of hard, man. Like the pieces, I understand what you're saying, but where it's heading right now is Devontae being a free agent, and that'll be insane. That'll be insane. Um, let's see, but yeah, Hector tomorrow 1 p.m. over with. These guys can't get franchised. My guy Rock says for some reason I'd rather re-sign Phylon more than Jefferson. Phylon was playing some good ball at the end of the season. I don't agree with that. I disagree. I think that Quentin Jefferson was consistently good. I felt like Phylon showed great flashes, but in moments it was a little inconsistent. But I would have definitely loved to re-sign Phylon. But the injury is what scares me. The injury is what I feel the Raiders will shy away from. And I do feel like the Raiders should bring back Quentin Jefferson, but I do think the time with Phylon is over for the Raiders. They will get nothing if they let him hit free agency. Yeah, they won't. They won't get nothing. But who knows, man? I hope you're wrong, Randy. I hope you're wrong. But at the end of the day, I think that that's what's gonna happen by tomorrow, though. I think that's what's gonna happen is that he'll get tagged. Um, let's see. I think the Packers will sign and trade Adams. They don't have the money to sign Adams. Yeah, it's kind of hard, man. They're dealing with a couple of things over there in terms of money, so we'll see. We'll see. You think the Flying Hawaiian will return as a backup? Who's the Flying Hawaiian? Who the fuck is the Flying Hawaiian? Oh, the Marcus Mariota. No, I think Mariota's gone. Mariota's definitely gone. I think that Washington could use his services. I think that Pittsburgh could possibly use his services. There's a couple teams, man. You already heard some stuff about possibly the 49ers being able to use his services. So, nah, man, I don't think he comes back, and especially not as a backup. I don't see him. I think he's out the door. Out the door. But I would love for Cam Newton to come in and be Derek Carr's backup. But I don't think Cam Newton will accept that. I don't think Cam Newton will accept the fact that he's a backup in the NFL and he's a backup for Derek Carr. I don't think so. I don't think so. Who the best team to trade the 22nd pick to and move back? In my opinion, it's Cincinnati. I think that by our pick, there'll still be some very good offensive line talent on the board. And I think that Cincinnati being at pick 31, once it gets by their pick, they won't have the offensive lineman won't be on the board there. So I think that Cincinnati is a team that we will definitely have to look at because I mean I think Cincinnati is just the most offensive line desperate, and today with them tagging Jesse Bates, a good amount of their cap already went over there, and I mean they still have a bunch more money left, but they definitely want to get a good offensive lineman on a cheap deal for years to come to pair up those cheap contracts that they already got with Burrow and Jamar and T. Higgins and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that Cincinnati's the best team to trade back with. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting though. It's interesting though. If we end up getting Adams in free agency, I say we show up to his house in Vegas and throw a big ass party. Hey Jesse, bro, I'm I'm all for it, bro. I'm all for it. Good call on offensive tackles. Teams behind us don't need a QB. No, not at all. Not at all. The teams behind us. Oh, I mean, you could say that Detroit needs a QB, but I think that the top guys and maybe the guys that they really like already be gone at 32. So, I mean, I think Detroit is really the only team behind us that needs a quarterback. Maybe Tennessee. Hey, I don't know. Tennessee, in my opinion, needs a quarterback, but I don't know. What about DJ Chark from the Jags? Yeah, so we talked about DJ Chark, being 6'4", tall, strong. I would love him to come in. Um, but the injury is a concern for him. He does find a way to get injured quite a bit. Sometimes those injuries, I mean, once they have a change of scenery and once they leave, they kind of find themselves on a better track to where they don't really get injured too much anymore. So I think that DJ Chark is definitely something we should definitely try and bring in. I really like him, but it's just the price tag. How much do you want? I think that he'll probably make 8 to 12 million dollars. Um, Detroit has the 34th, 66th, and the 97th pick. Would you trade your pick for that? Because I would. Are you saying would I trade the 22nd pick for those three? Yes. I think the more realistic answer would be trading your I think the more realistic thing that could happen would be we send them 22, they send us 32 and 66, and I think that you can get the deal done. I don't think that they're that dumb to give us three top 100 picks for just pick 22. I don't think so. I don't think so. What do you think about re-signing Mariota than trading him? I think that if we were going to trade him, it should have been last year. Um, there's I don't know. It's kind of tough because this draft class isn't too good on the quarterbacks, in my opinion. So you could maybe get a desperate team to pull the trigger on him, but I mean, it's kind of hard to judge, in my opinion. It's kind of hard to judge. Um, but before Chark got hurt, he was a beast. He was a good player. He is a good player. I feel like though he hasn't had a string of good quarterbacks to help him. I know you have T Law over there now. I mean, you got Trevor Lawrence, so he should be a great quarterback. But with Jacksonville not having shit around him, it's kind of tough, man. It's kind of tough for him to be a great quarterback because he doesn't really have a great defense. He doesn't really have weapons. His offensive line is kind of ass. Their best offensive lineman could be leaving the free agency, and they just don't really seem to know how to build. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah. There's a couple guys I remember now. I saw a couple of you guys mention Quandre Diggs in the chat. If we're gonna talk about safeties that are hitting the free agent market, I think you guys already know my number what? I think my number one safety option would probably be Justin Reed, just because Justin Reed, he can come down, play man coverage, go back, play the split safety. Like Justin Reed is a free safety. So in this scheme, he'd essentially just be playing free safety next to Merrick. But we'll see. We'll see. But I feel like safeties, Quandre Diggs, I'm gonna continue to say this, man. He's more of a true strong safety. He's a guy that, yes, he would do good in this system, but I feel like he would not be good when Patrick Graham asks him to come up, play man coverage. I don't think he'd do good there. I think that he does good in his zone coverage because we know that that's what they run over there in Seattle. But I like him. I do want us to try and get him, but personally, for the price that he's going to be asking for, and for the services that what you can get out of the service that you can get out of Justin Reed, I feel like Justin Reed's a better option. That I just feel like that. But I see Money Bell in here saying it, bro. Bring in Jabril Peppers or bring in Marcus May. I think that Marcus May is more of a realistic option than Jabril Peppers. Just because I feel like if you bring in Jabril Peppers, you kind of, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of tough. My boy Hammer Everybody in here, man, go subscribe to my guy Hammer's house. This man right here. Show love to my guy Hammer, man. My boy. It's my guy. He says Kyle Van Noy on a 2-year deal. We kind of touched up on this already, my guy, but my thing with Kyle Van Noy, he is a perfect scheme fit for the Raiders. He's a guy that can stand up and rush. He's a guy that stand up and drop back into coverage. Um, I love his production. Over 60 tackles, 6 sacks, 10 pass deflections, a defensive touchdown, 2 forced fumbles. Like, he's a good player. I would definitely bring in Kyle Van Noy. But the thing is, when I see Kyle Van Noy, I see a clone of him that's better, reaching his prime, that is younger, and that's Uchenna Nwosu. And Uchenna Nwosu from the Chargers, man, I would pay that man $10 to $12 million. I would definitely give Kyle Van Noy money too. But personally, if we're gonna look at Kyle Van Noy, great. You can go out and get Kyle Van Noy. But I want to get Nwosu over Kyle Van Noy. I would love either one of them. I think Kyle Van Noy is more realistic. But Uchenna Nwosu is my number one guy. I think that outside of Devontae and J.C. Jackson, Uchenna Nwosu is my number one free agent target. That's who I want the Raiders to go grab. That's who I want to be. I think Nwosu is supposed to be tagged, but it's like, okay, do they really want to lose a weapon for Justin Herbert? I don't think so. I think they're going to try and tag Mike Williams. Yeah. Let's see. Yannick Davis and Mad Max. Yannick Ngakoue, Davis, and Mad Max. What do you think? I think that's a hell of a defensive line. I think that Jordan Davis lacks for, I think that Jordan Davis picks up Yannick Ngakoue's sacks, but slack in the run game. I don't think that Jordan Davis would be a Raider though. Yeah, and Wosu fucking killed us. But Kyle Van Noy is definitely more realistic. But look, man, if you like Kyle Van Noy, you're gonna love Nwosu even better. Kyle Van Noy is a seasoned vet. I understand that, but I'm telling you, Uchenna Nwosu, baby, it's my number one priority in free agency outside of those top 2 guys in Devontae and J.C. Jackson. Drafting a QB round 1, who knows, might get Carr 2 MVPs like Rodgers. Nah, man. I see what you're saying. Also, Chargers gonna pay a lot of money to their quarterback. Yeah, they have to. Was good, Hammer, working like always? Yeah, you already know Hammer's working, man. What about Hassan Reddick? I loved him at Tampa. Hassan Reddick will probably get tagged, or I don't know. It's very close to the deadline, but I like Hassan Reddick. He's a good pass rusher. He fits the scheme. But you're gonna have to pay him big bucks. You're gonna have to pay him big bucks. Hey Andy, do you think McDaniels will keep Abram at his position or move him to linebacker, have him beef up a little bit? If anybody's gonna have him move position, it won't be McDaniels. It'll be Patrick Graham. But yes, I think it's already been reported that it's looking like he's going to play 60 to 70% of his game at the linebacker position. I would be much more comfortable if that number increased to 80 and 85%, just because I don't like him at strong safety anymore. I just think he doesn't have it at strong safety. I think he has all the juice and all the utilities and all the tools in the world to be a good linebacker in this league. That's what I feel, though. I feel like he could be a hell of a good linebacker in this league. Andy, what do you think of Pierce, wide receiver? I like him. I think that he actually blew the combine out the water with his height, his frame. Did not expect him to run that fast. Personally, though, I would like George Pickens over Pierce, but I like Pierce. I like Pierce. I think that he's actually a mold that this offense would really want to target. Do you think Devontae gets tagged, and what do you think of him buying a house in LV? I think I think the home purchase in Las Vegas for Devontae Adams was definitely blown out of proportion. I think it was definitely um, like it was just blown out of the water for no reason. I think he purchased that home before, like, I think they purchased his home on Hammer's birthday a month ago. So it was just kind of reported like 4 days ago, 6 days ago that he bought that house. So I know that there was a lot of like, oh my God, he bought a home so close to free agency and in Las Vegas and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's definitely something to look at. But at the end of the day, the man's fucking rich. Homes and property is only going to go up in value. It's only going to increase in price. I think it's more of an investment that could go hand in hand if he lands in Vegas, but I think that it's an investment first, then a home purchase where he'll actually come here. But yeah, I think that's how it'll work. But yeah, I'm not sure if he'll get tagged though. I feel like if he would have gotten tagged, I think they would have already done it already. Let's see. Carlton Davis is, in my opinion, the best free agent option behind JC Gilmore. Personally, I feel like he's a better option than Gilmore, just because he's younger. I think that he's going to hit his prime very very soon. I think Gilmore is like his prime was here. I think Gilmore is starting to flatline on his prime, and then he's going to start to lower. And whether it's this year or next year, I would love to bring in Stefan Gilmore though. But if you bring in Gilmore, it's only a band-aid over the problem, and you do want your future. And I think Carlton Davis and J.C. Jackson are the guys to look at. I think Alec Pierce could be the best rookie wide receivers with many variables. Obviously, his footwork is lightning, great with his hands to get off press, and his cuts are sudden, sharp, got to get strong. I like Pierce. I think I was actually incorrect when I was doing those top five scheme fits. I think Pierce might fit the scheme better than George Pickens. I think I just said George Pickens because I really like him. But Alec Pierce is a good player. I would love for the Raiders to get Alec Pierce. It's just where, do we get him in the second? Do we get him in the third? Where does he go? I would do it though. I would not be mad. Vaughn might stay in LA paying for the other team. He loves LA. Vaughn is going to go back to Denver, bro. I can't remember his name, but wide receiver Olivier got wheels. Yeah, he's nice. He's nice. For sure. Von Miller's going back to Denver. Yeah, I think he is Ace GM. Everyone buys houses in Vegas. Yeah. That man. I think it's a little bit blown out of proportion, but hey man, I could be wrong too. I'll be happy as long as we don't reach in the draft. Look, man, reaching in the draft is something that our organization has done for quite some time now. I think that this team and this team of staff that we've been able to build is definitely going to be a squad that won't be doing that. Just hearing Ziegler speak is very, it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders because he sounds like he knows what he's doing. I'm not saying that Mayock didn't sound like he knows what he's doing, but just from day one with Ziegler, man, when he was asked the question, he was affirmative with the way he answered it. Was, look, he's the head coach. I'm the GM. I'm going to be making the final decisions on the roster. Of course, they'll go hand in hand. We'll go hand in hand together. We'll both discuss it. But final say is mine. I'm going to make the decision on the roster. And I mean, when I hear him speak in his recent interview, I mean, the man says it. We're going to be a team that drafts good players. Whether it's at a position of need or not, we're going into the draft going after good players. I think that we may be a team that goes into the draft just trying to get best player available. Some may like that, some may not. Personally, I feel like if you do good in free agency, I mean, you can do it. You can do it. Marzell says, would you spend top dollar on one of these safeties, Marcus Williams, Marcus May, Diggs, or Matthew? And if so, which one? you think fits Graham's defense the best? I think that Marcus May and I think Marcus May and Matthew both fit the system the best because I feel like they both can do a lot. Marcus Williams can definitely do a lot, but he's not really a great tackler. Diggs, I've said Diggs so his name so many times today. I've talked about him already, but which one would I would spend the money on? I mean, I would spend the money on Marcus Williams just because he's the youngest out of all of them. He has the best. I mean, not the best, but he has a ton of NFL experience. I believe he has 5 years of NFL experience under his belt, and he's only 25 years old. I think he's the best one. I think he's the best one out of those. Let's see. We're going after high character guys in the draft. Bank on that. It's the Patriot way. Well, I don't disagree because I've seen them fucking draft a Division III player in round 2. So, yeah. Andy, what's up with Mullen? You think he's staying? Yeah. Mullen, I think he'll stay. I think that he'll be able to kind of regain his form from 2020 and late 2019. I think he'll be able to regain that form now with a system that actually plays to his strengths. Shout out to Gus Bradley. You know, he helped us get into the playoffs this year. Forever thankful for that. But his system was very simple. His system was not meant for Trayvon Mullen. His system was meant for guys like Brandon Faisons and Keyshawn Nixons that can kind of come out of nowhere and still, look decent out there. So I applaud I applaud Gus Bradley for being able to create a system that allows guys to produce when they really shouldn't. But at the end of the day, it kind of stunted the growth, in my opinion, of Trayvon Merrick. I feel like it made Trayvon Mullen look bad because he's a man corner and he was a man corner playing in a zone scheme, and you saw his man tendencies just look horrible because he was, very physical, and you're not really physical in a zone scheme. You're kind of a read and react kind of guy. But you know, I think that this system will definitely help Mullen, man. I do think he's staying. DJ Chark and Tyra Williams see the same player. Can we get a dog instead of these half-ass hopefuls? So that's a good way to look at it, bro. But I feel like when we got Tyrell Williams, I mean, we knew what he was dealing with. Like, I don't know why we brought in. I understand Tyrell Williams a baller when he came in, but Tyrell Williams is a number 2, if not a number 3, coming on the team with an injury. So, yeah. My boy Ray the Tape, says, I heard Graham ran 90% of zone last year. I'm still looking for the stat. Yeah, Ray, I didn't. Nah, I think that EC kind of shut that thing down real quick after somebody mentioned that. But I do think that part of that is maybe because of injuries or the depth chart that they had going on. But when Patrick Graham's defenses have had the most success, he did not run nearly anything close to 90% man cover or zone coverage. But shout out to my guy Raid, man. If you guys are new here and have never seen Raid the Tape, man, please go check out my guy Raid the Tape on his channel. Good content creator, great quality, putting up great film breakdowns, does lives as well. Go check my guy out, man. The Raider Nation got some great freaking content creators, man. So go check him out, bro. Please. Whatever wide receiver we get in the draft going to shine, especially if we get a wide receiver in free agency. Yeah, because it'll take pressure off of one. So I agree. Mullen doesn't play with 100% effort, and it shows in the run game. Look, man. I mean, I think that's kind of why the NFL game is going more towards man. You really shouldn't, unless you're in a zone scheme. Your corners really shouldn't have to make that many tackles, bro. Like, they really shouldn't. I think that if your corners have to make that many tackles, it's a bad thing. And I don't disagree with what you're saying, but it's kind of like, what the fuck? Like, look, let me say it like this, bro. We were killing our team, our corners, because they weren't aggressive enough in the run game. They didn't want to tackle, right? Well, we had fucking Damon Arnett, and that dude would throw his body every play. Damon Arnett would throw his body into every fucking tackle, and he got hurt because he was very physical. He was playing bigger than his size. And then you guys criticized him because he was too physical and he wasn't playing how a corner should. So I feel like we kind of need to take the step back on our corners having to do so much in the tackling. If my corner can fucking guard his wide receiver, make a play on the ball, well, guess what? That's why the motherfucker got signed. Look at Marcus Peters. He plays in one of the most physical defenses in the league, in the Baltimore Ravens. He don't tackle for shit. You know what he does? He guards and he intercepts. And he doesn't tackle. But he's a good player. So you kind of got to pick your poison. But look, you guys. Look, you guys. We've been on here for almost an hour and 45 minutes. I already dropped a video today, so you guys got a double out of me today. I'm pretty sure someone else in the nation will be going live tonight. So we'll see. I believe my guy D-Lo just said Dirty's live is at 9. But please, man, I appreciate every single one of you guys that have tuned in today. If you are new to the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are on the road. We're on the chase for 4,000 subscribers. We are extremely, extremely close. So, yeah, man, if you want Raider content, the tag deadline is tomorrow. Free agency period is very, very soon. If you want Raider content, subscribe, man. I got it here for you guys. I'm going to try and keep doing this every day. When there is content, it's very, very easy. When there isn't content, well, then I got to get a little bit more creative. But I still put out content basically every single day for you guys. But like I said, man, like I always say, stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate every single one of you guys who pulled up. I love every single one of you guys. But that'll be it for the live, man. I appreciate you guys, and I'm out, y'all.